Does it feel good?
Hello. How's it all going? God, I got mask hair. God, I just realised I've brushed it and everything, but I still have mask hair. You know, like wearing a face mask and it leaves like this like dent in a beard. It's just these new problems I found having a beard. It's not easy being me. Everyone feels sorry for me. Hi, how's it going, gang? It's been a whole other week and stuff has happened. How's everyone going? People are very worried about Shrek, and that's fair. There's good cause to be worried. We're gonna cancel Shrek. He's gonna get cancelled. Hello, hi. I assume everyone can hear stuff. You've been doing Kersha's been doing a Shrek binge this week. Oh, how fortuitous. How fortuitous for this. So, just to elaborate on exactly what's happening here, so I'm doing a video on censorship. That is the next video that I've got coming out. And I'm not, I sort of explained this before, but I'm not necessarily playing to like the politics of whether censorship is good or bad. You know, like that's not the part I'm getting into. I'm just getting into the fact that, like, it exists. There's, like, rules and ratings and you know, like, for films to be given a PG or a R or 18 rating. You know, there are rules in place, right? So this extends back to the 1930s. This is when cinema basically was kicking off for proper. This sort of began in the 20s, but 30s is, like, when it became a business, right? And there was this like overly Christian guy called William Hayes, who created a set of rules that every movie studio had to abide by, and if they didn't, then they'd lose money in the box office. So it was just a case of they had to follow these rules, and a lot of these rules like generally wouldn't stand today. They're like overly, hey, going insane. They're like overly Puritan or very like it's all to do with morals, right? These aren't because it's like you know, stuff being maybe inappropriate for children per se. It's just it's about the morals of the audience. Basically, you can't go into the cinema and come out a worse person because of the film you just saw. So basically, these were the set of rules that were created in the 1930s. And it's just an experiment. I'm going to see what would happen if we tried to apply a movie such as Shrek against those rules. In what ways would it fail those rules? That's our experiment. Have I seen the Netflix show about the history of swear words? I have. I did, and there is the general consensus of like, the problem is there is no, it's it's kept quite vague in terms of the American rating system. In terms of what is and what isn't permitted in terms of swear words, has been kept, I think, intentionally vague. They do say, but a rule of thumb is that you get one fuck in a PG film, and you are allowed non-sexual swearing, right? So shit, you get like a shit. But if you use two fucks, you're now out of PG. You're now into an R, right? But sometimes there has been like leeway that has been allowed, that there has been two fucks in a PG. Like it's all very contextual. If you say fuck in a PG movie, if you use it in a sexual way, like I'm gonna fuck that person, I'm gonna fuck Shrek. If you say that, that's an R. But if you were to say, oh look, it's fucking Shrek, then that can be PG. You see what I mean? So this stream is now an R. I'm sorry. And Astrius, yes, Astrius, thank you, buddy. You bring up George Carlin. He even brings up in his own stand-up set about the 7 words you cannot say. Was it shit, piss, fuck, shit, piss, cunt, fuck, cocksucker, motherfucker, tit, farts, turd, and twat, right? Well, he's added more since, but like tits, fart, turd, and twat, I think is the newer additions to the list. But basically, he even alludes to the fact that they don't give you a list. The UK has a list. If you were to look up Ofcom's own guidance on like TV ratings and stuff like that, they have a list of the swear words, the yeses and the nos, basically. But America does not, and I think that's kept intentional because it's done by like vibes. I think it's done by feelings. It's done by like the context of how it's used in the piece, and what feels right, and that can differ so wildly between network to network, studio to studio. So that's why it's generally very inconsistent, right? So yeah, that kind of thing. So this is what we're gonna do. As just an experiment, we're gonna look over the 1930s rule of cinema, what is and is not allowed, and then we're gonna cross compare it with Shrek and just see what would and what wouldn't be permissible. That's it. That's the whole experiment. How's the swear video coming along? It's not solely about swearing. It's about censorship. So this is like, you know how I like to have title cards or segment my video in different chapters and stuff like that. This is going to be like the best segmented video I've ever made, because you're going to have one that's called sex, and then you got one that's called violence, and then you got one that's called nudity and gore and swearing, and like each one is completely censored. In the 1930s, I was not alive. Ah, what a coincidence, Penguin Mexter. Neither was I. Kershaw, have I seen this film is not yet rated? I have not. I have not seen that film. I shall add that to my watch list. So let us flick on over. Oh, by the way, I don't know, because some people are new or don't know, I've since added the text-to-speech feature for bits and donations. So if you want to like throw out your bits and talk to me, that's a feature you can do now. Well, I'd say talk to me. It's a text to voice, so it will be Brian, I think his name, who will be the person actually talking to me. So I'm going to flick over to this. So this is the PDF document that I've got, which is the Motion Picture Production Code, aka the Hays Code. These are the codes, the rules that movies in the 1930s all the way through to like the the late 60s, they all had to abide by. And towards the very, very end, the code started to fall apart. More and more rules kept getting like bent and broken, and eventually the whole thing got scrapped in favor of the actual rating system that we have today, basically. But it began with this. It began with the Hays Code. So we'll skip all this, but like you can see here, actually, I'll make it a bit bigger. Let's have a look. So, Theatre motion prediction. Theatre. Great start. Theatrical motion pictures. That is, pictures intended for the theatre is distinct from pictures intended for churches, schools, etc. Mankind has always recognized the importance of entertainment and its value, so on and so forth. All right, so these are like it's getting across its general principles here. There's a lot here which we're going to skip over because it's all its general, like, you know, motion pictures are important as art. It's basically justifying itself being the moral arbiter of what is and isn't acceptable in cinema. So I'm gonna skip through all this. There is the general principles. So let's have a look. Which second minute? So there's the general principles. So the working principles. No picture should lower the moral standards of those who see it. This is done by when an evil is made to appear attractive, and good is made to appear unattractive. Now, already we're on a pretty interesting spot because in Shrek is seen as the kind of villain, right? Yeah, I know we morally or narratively he's the hero, but like he's positioned as being the monster, and the good, the lord of the land, is actually evil. So that kind of already sort of tips it a bit on its head. It's I wouldn't say that's enough to condemn the film, but it's certainly enough to be like, hang on a minute. Yeah, no sexy villains, I'm afraid, One Chop. No tall vampires on this Minecraft Christian server. If video games could be reviewed like this, like Telltale Games, Minecraft, I mean, those already have to go by its own rating systems. But if you mean by this standard, that'd be quite curious. What are you talking about? You didn't see the sad part with the pig. Oh, pig died. I'm guessing that's in Minecraft story mode. What is this outdated nonsense? This is the Hays Code. This is what movies had to abide by for 30 plus years. In fact, it's like the golden age of cinema, though. This is like the black and white classics. This is like every Humphrey Bogart movie fell under these rules. When the sympathy of the audience is thrown on the side of crime, wrongdoing, evil, sin. This is the same thing is true of a film that will throw sympathy against goodness, honor, innocence, purity, or honesty. Hey Yelsha, how's it going? How's it going? I have to do a Birmingham accent for Yelsha, just so you know he's actually me. There's a thing that will be explained, I think, a few weeks away. Yeah, that's an unexplained project right now, but Yelsha is in on that joke. It's a load of horseshit. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go necessarily into whether it's right or wrong, but what this did was, because it created restraints, it made movie makers creative in like how they kind of like weaved around the rules, and that's what my video is about. I'm showing appreciation for those who like kind of like bent the rules, flexed it in their favor, found creative workarounds, that kind of thing. That's the thing I'm celebrating with this. So sympathy with a person who sins is not the same as sympathy with the sin or the crime. So that's just highlighted that even though a person the person may be a sympathetic character, even if what they do isn't sympathetic. So like a gangster with a heart of gold, you know, that kind of thing. We may feel sorry for the plight of the murderer and even understand the circumstances, but we must not feel sympathy for what he has done. So it's just making sure crime bad. Presentation of evil is often essential, as long as it's not presented alluring. So basically, in Shrek, is evil at any point presented alluringly? Not especially. I mean, Farquaad is like, if we say him he's evil, he's definitely never presented alluringly. He's always like made to like be minuscule and the butt of the joke and that kind of thing. So hey Harry, tell me, Harry, do you find Lord Farquaad attractive? You tell me. let's see. So, and so I guess it's more the act of evil is not alluring. Shrek doesn't kill people. He exaggerates himself to scare people off. It's true. He doesn't actually do any killing. Is scaring evil though? Is that a bad thing? Because he's terrorizing people, right? So, that's actually a fair point. Actually, he does scare people. He does he terrorizes people. So, and he laughs at that, and we are meant to laugh with him. And although it is presented in more like the guards and the pitchforks and torches are like presented to being in the wrong because they're misjudging him, he's still doing a bad thing, which is scaring them away, terrorizing them, and then laughing about it. So, that could be a point against Shrek right there. Hey, Uncle Hawk, I'm going to give up trying to pronounce Gojira correctly, because I always get it wrong. I say it differently every stream, so I'm just going to say, hi, Uncle Hawk. Are we meant to be scared into laughing with him? That's terrorism. That's terrorizing. So we just walked in here. Are we finally holding Shrek accountable for his many crimes? We absolutely are. We're holding him accountable to 1930s standards, which is grossly unfair, but he will be hung for his crimes. He will be a Kirby. Don't you worry. So yeah, I guess the terrorism of him scaring the villagers, even though they are in the wrong, his act is wrong. So that's a potential knock on the condemnation there. Throughout the presentation, evil and good are never confused, and evil is always clearly recognized as evil. So that would do away with like twist villains, right? So yeah, that kind of blows a lot of like surprises, I guess, potentially in movies. That we can never confuse good and evil. This reminds me of the comic book rules that Stan Lee famously didn't follow. Yes, you're right. The comic book code, was essentially an offspring of this code, and that governed comics up until I think like the 80s, right? Yeah, I think something like that. Astrius, remind me, like you're more of the comic booky person than me. Do you recall when the comics code basically stopped? I think DC were the first ones to pull out. So, I mean, evil and good never be confused. The dragon? Would the dragon fall under that? Because she's presented as evil, as a threat, but then becomes good when she becomes like, when she's attracted to Donkey. Her complexion softens, right? And she's presented as more like as a potential love interest. So is that a confusion of good and evil? That's a question. What are we reading? So, sarcastic fringehead. What we are reading, these are the rules of cinema for 1930s. From the 1930s to the late 60s, all cinema had to abide by these rules, and they are particularly strict, and we're just going through them to see how Shrek will be held to this same standard. That's what we're doing. So yeah, that's a question. That's a question. Does the dragon fall under a confusing good and evil? And that in the end, the audience feels that evil is wrong and good is right. Yeah, I think that scans for Shrek. I don't think at any point people are confused about what's right and what's wrong. Yeah. So the presentation of crimes against the human, law, or divine is often necessary for carrying out the plot, but the presentation must not show sympathy with the criminal against the law, nor the crime against those who must punish it. Right, okay. So, does Shrek do crime? I don't recall Shrek doing crime. He fights the soldiers when they all sort of like rush him. What other crimes? I'm only focusing on the first film. I'm not looking at the sequels. Okay, remind me what crimes Shrek does. He scares people. We got that. That's like terrorism. He skips the queue. Oh my god, you're right. He skips the queue. That's flagrant disregard of rules. He broke into a wedding. Does breaking into a wedding count as a law? It's crashing a wedding, sure, and potentially trespassing, but like he had grounds for objection, and it was morally right. Vandalism. Well, what is he vandal? If you're talking about the fight scene, when he's up against Farquaad, like when he turns up and Farquaad sends his like armies at him, he uses the chair. Yeah, see, that's a fight. That's an organized fight. That's like the leader saying, "Everyone fight." If anything, it's self-defense. Shrek is self-defending himself. Stealing onions from a field. We don't know if those are like farm onions. Those could be wild onions. You know, they're up for grabs. You know, I don't know how gentrified the Shrek world is. He frees a captive prisoner. Ooh, that's a very good example, One Chop. He defends a prisoner. He like the prisoner escaped, and he does ooh, where does that's good. That's good. Where does that fall under? He helps an escaped. It's not helped. What's it called? It's like he aids an escaped criminal. He doesn't bust him out, but he does aid him. Grand Theft Donkey, maybe. He's part of the coup that usurps Farquaad. True. It's not a king, though. He's not a king yet, and that's like the whole plot, right? He wants to be a king. So he's not a king, he's just a lord. So it's not treason. And in fact, he doesn't really do anything. He's not personally responsible for the death. That's just the dragon being a dragon. He just doesn't do a lot to stop it, really. Polluting a water source. I think that's his own water source, isn't it? If you're talking about in the beginning when he farts in the pool of water, that's his own water source. That's on his Shrek, on his swamp, right? Right. Frog into a balloon. That's grounds for cruelty to animals. He defies the law and fights the soldiers trying to catch Donkey. Yes. So I would say that like the most crime Shrek does is cruelty to animals and helping an escaped criminal. Right? Did we cover anything else that makes it disturbing the peace? Not really. Oh, the terrorism, of course. The terrorism for scaring people. But in fairness, they're on his land. Does that make things a bit shaky? It's like self-defense again. Again, we're only focusing on the first film, so whatever happens in Shrek 4 stays in Shrek 4. As goes for Far, Far Away Land. That's Shrek 2. Regicide. He doesn't kill Farquaad, though. He doesn't do anything towards Farquaad. Okay, so tax evasion. Yeah, I suppose so. But he strikes a deal with Farquaad to own his land. So, base libertarian Shrek defended his land. It's true. He is. Oh god. Okay, let's move on. So, he has flirtings with crime, and it is presented as good. The courts of the land should not be presented as unjust. Over here. So, life should not be misrepresented. As a way to place your minds of youth false values on life. The subject touched in passing the attention of the producers called okay, whatever. In accordance with general principles laid down, no plot theme should definitely side with evil against good. Okay. Hey, Apithalion. Hello. Comedies and farces should not make fun of good, innocence, morality, or justice. I think Shrek does do that, right? I think he does mock the good, the saintly. He's kind of like bucking the trend. He's kind of rebellious. Uh, what's happening here? We're still wondering whether he's an accomplice to the dragon. I don't think he was. I think it's incidental the dragon did that. It doesn't appear to pay for the beers he drinks in the bad reputation fight scene. I suppose. But he does make fun of the. I feel like he does make fun of like the sanctimonious and the like he's like the way he talks to Fiona. Are we talking about specifically Shrek character crimes or Shrek movie? No, we're not doing cinema sins. We're not doing any fucking dings here. No, the character Shrek, what he has done. So I'm on right now as to this point here about comedy and farces should not make fun of good innocence, morality, or justice. So I think Shrek does do that. He definitely goes against that. He's like definitely rebellious against good. Yes, exactly. The general society and Farquhar's Disneyfied society. Excellent point. Later cheesecake. So he definitely goes against the grain in that respect. No plot should ever be constructed as to leave a question of right or wrong in doubt or fogged. Yeah, that's kind of fair. No plot should by its treatment throw sympathy of the audience with sin, crime, wrongdoing, or evil. No, I guess not. So what? No plot should present evil lyrics. It's very, very like, as I said, this is a very like overly Christian set of rules. It's like we must not present evil as being potentially quite nice. His girlfriend beats up pervy Robin Hood. Again, that's potentially self-defense because like they're coming after them. Sex before marriage. You know what? We haven't gotten to sex yet. That's coming. Sex is coming. So this is regarding serious film drama, so I might skim this. But like good and evil, in the first material, it must be distinguished with sin, by its nature repels, and sin, by which nature attracts. The first class comes murder, most theft, legal crime. Most legal crimes? What does that mean? Most legal crimes? What's most legal crimes? How do you have... What does most legal crimes mean? Lying. Ooh. Is there lying? Yeah. Yeah, there is lying. There is lying in Shrek. But it's like... It comes back. He rights the wrong in that respect. Hypocrisy, cruelty, etc. Cruelty is in there. We established he's cruel to animals. In the second class comes sex sins and crimes of apparent heroism, as such banditry, daring thefts, leadership in evil, organized crime, revenge, etc. So the first class needs a little care in handling as sin. So class, in this context, could mean there are different bands, right? So like, say, like with movies, we have a U, a PG, and a R, or an 18, you know, depending where you are in the world. So you have like stuff that's just fine for everyone, fine for some, fine for a very few, right? Or basically, you know, this is the bad stuff, right? So class could be referring to that because they were called class A, class B, and class C. So it's potential that this is referring that if this is going to be a class A, then it needs to be handled very carefully. So the objective must be to avoid hardening the audiences, especially those who are young and impressionable, to the thought and the fact of crime. So does Shrek influence kids to being worse people? You've never seen Shrek, Jace Face. Oh, Jace. Go see Shrek. Just like culturally. How can you be online and not see Shrek? Go see Shrek. It's a very good film. Very, very good film. Shrek inspired Penguin Mexer to rob banks. I feel like you were going to rob a bank anyway, and you just so happen to have seen Shrek at some point. So, no, Shrek is posed to hero, so no, he doesn't do that. Shrek convinced me to join a gang. I feel like Shrek does a lot of, like, leave me alone. So that kind of is the opposite of his whole objective. So, better out than in, I always say. That's very true. He does. He encourages obscene behavior. He encourages belching. Ooh, the crimes are stacking up against him here. Second class needs real care and handling as the response of human natures to their appeal is obvious. This is treated more fully below. I'm going to skim these notes. So, we're on to sex now. All right. Oh.
I still have bits.
You do still have bits, apparently, Bam. And thank you for them. The triangle. That is the love of a third party by one already married needs careful handling if marriage and the sanctity of home and sex morality are not to be imperiled. Okay, so we do have a love triangle in this movie. Thank you, Mac Tendo. Thank you. I'm glad you like my beard. So we do have a love triangle with between Farquaad, Fiona, and Shrek. But there's a marriage happening, but nobody is married, so there's no, like, cheating on one another. Adultery as a subject should be avoided. It is never fit for a comedy. Through comedy of this sort, ridicule is thrown on the essential relationships of home and family and marriage, and illicit relationships are made to seem permissible, are either a delight or daring. So, is the love triangle in Shrek? Well, it's not adultery. First of all, it's not adultery. Nobody's actually married to one another in Shrek 1. So, it is not that. Sometimes adultery must be counted on as material for occurring in serious drama. But it should never be justified. It should never weaken the respect for marriage. And it should never be presented as attractive or alluring. When Lord Farquaad is choosing whichever princess to rescue, is it implied that Lord Farquaad becomes hard? This is effective thing. We will get to obscenity shortly. No, technically Shrek doesn't fall under any of those things because nobody's actually married yet. It's so seduction and that other word are difficult subjects and bad material. I'm going to avoid saying the words for sensitivity's sake. But difficult subjects and bad material from a viewpoint of a general audience. They should never be introduced as subject. I mean, I'm going to skim this and just see if at any point it ever actually comes up. This should not be suggested. Is this still seduction? Seduction and that other one, that other word, are very separate things, right? Why are they compounded together? Should never be treated as comedy. I mean, where essential to the plot must be more than suggested. The struggles of the thing should not be shown. The methods by which seduction is essential to plot should not be explicit or represented. I mean, they kind of fall in love. I guess it's not lust. Oh, there is lust. We covered that. There is lust. And the dragon seduces Donkey. Ooh, you're right. Ooh, you're right. There is that scene where he says, "That's my tail. That's my personal tail." Ooh. Ooh. That's a big knock against Shrek. Ooh, you're right. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Yes, that is. I'm going to turn on my fan. I'm getting hot. I'm getting a bit hot under the collar here. Ooh, boy. Okay, Penguin, Mexter, enjoy your taco. On that incredible note. So, yes, there is an allusion to the fact that the dragon does a sexual act upon the donkey against the donkey's will. So, that is a bad thing. That's a very bad thing. This rule will definitely knock against the film. So, we've got that. So, Let's us move on. Scenes of passion are sometimes necessary. However, they should only appear when not essential to the plot. They should not occur. They must be explicit in action, nor vivid in method. Ooh. Hey girl, do you want to get vivid? My method has been told. I'm told my method is vivid. By the handling of the body, the lustful, prolonging kissing, as evidently lustful embraces by positions which strongly arouse passions. Ooh, this is stronger than 50 Shades of Grey. Ooh. In general, where essential to the plot, scenes of passion should not be presented in such a way as to arouse or excite the passions of the ordinary spectator. so like somebody just like catches their eye as they're walking past and go, ooh, you know. Who would want to make a movie when they have to read these rules? It's true. It is it can be extremely restrictive, but that's the part I'm digging into in my video, is that the movies that have circumvented these rules and found funny ways.
Donkey and Dragon are very horny jail for them.
horny. And so to Tory Slapper, to explain, we are looking at the original rules for movies, that censorship that every movie had to abide by in the 1930s to the 1960s, and we're seeing if a movie such as Shrek could survive under these conditions. So far, it's not going good. Because Shrek has done crimes, Shrek has done naughty stuff, and I can't remember what the other thing was, but yeah, it's not going well for it so far. Sexual immorality is sometimes necessary for the plot. The presence of scenes, episodes, plots, etc. that are deliberately meant to... This covers TV as well, by the way. That's why, like, classic sitcoms had two couples sleeping in separate beds, was because to share a bed together was obscene and implies sex. So they had to have separate beds to be pure. And that's why, like, I think the first few episodes of WandaVision, which riff on those earlier sitcoms, do the same thing. Is the dragon lusting over donkey essential to the plot? I'd say it is. It is. It absolutely is. It makes the dragon an ally to their cause. And they make dragon donkey babies. Which may very well come up as a crime in here too. No crossbreeding is allowed. So the presence of plots, etc., which are deliberately meant to excite the manifestations on the part of the audience, is always wrong. Always wrong. It's subversive to the interest of society. Nobody wants this stuff. Nobody wants the sexy stuff. And a peril to the human race. It's perilous. God damn. God forbid you see a boob, because that's bringing us all down. Sex and passion exist and consequently must sometimes enter into the stories which deal with human beings. Yes, pure love. The love of a man for a woman is permitted by the law of God and man, and is the rightful subject of plots. Passion arising from this love is not the subject of plots. Passion arising from this love is not the subject of plot. Okay. Impure love. Here we go, everyone. What's happening now?
God forbid if someone from this time saw deviant out. They would combust.
They really, really would. Thank you, Harry. Impure love. The love of a man and woman, forbidden by human and divine law, must be presented in that way. It is clearly known from the audience that it is wrong. Its presentation does not excite sexual reactions, mental or physical, in any ordinary audience. It is not treated as a matter for comedy. Okay, so the love of a man and a woman forbidden by... Now, technically, Shrek and Fiona are forbidden, right? Like, she's a princess and he's an ogre, and the whole love is kind of forbidden between the two of them, right? And like even like generally society would look down and frown upon that. So it is forbidden. It's just coincidentally she's an ogre as well, but he loved her for her. So, but she's an ogre, but no, because he loves her anyway. So whether she was an ogre or not, and she loves him despite. So I feel like this might fall under forbidden love. This is impure love. Even within the limits of pure love, certain facts have been universally regarded by lawmakers. These are manifestations of passion and sacred intimacies of private life, either before marriage, in the courtship of decent people, or after marriage, as is perfectly clear. So wait, the sacred intimacies of private life? Either before marriage, in the courtship of decent people, or after marriage, as is perfectly clear. So is this fucking? Is this fucking? No sex before marriage, basically. Because I don't remember there being a donkey dragon wedding scene. That's some impure donkey bonking. In the case of pure love, the difficulty is not so much about what details are permitted for presentation. This is perfectly clear in most cases. The difficulty concerns itself with the tact, delicacy, and general regard for property manifested in their presentation. But in the case of impure love, the love which society has always regarded as wrong, which has been banned by divine law, following are important. It must not be treated as the subject of comedy, farce, or treated as material for laughter. Well, if we're saying that Shrek and Fiona are impure love, then, yeah, it's absolutely presented as laughter. It must not be presented as attractive and beautiful. Technically, it's presented as ugly, right? They kind of like, they embrace the ugly ogre thing, right? The film ends with like, they lived ugly ever after or something like that. So, would that count? I mean, Fiona is presented as being classically attractive, but then she turns into an ogre, so classically unattractive. And they seem to, like, present generally the ogres as being unattractive. So I think that ticks that box. I think that works, right? The real question... Wait. The real question is... I missed the question. I've missed what the real question was. Would Disaster Movie hold up? No, Disaster Movie didn't even hold up in 2008 when it came out. It must not be presented in such a way to arouse passion or morbid curiosity in part of the audience. Well, that's fucked up. Shall I go on to Rule 34 Shrek and see what we come up with? I won't. I won't do that. That was a threat, and I will not follow that up. It must not be made seen to be as right and permissible. Too late. In general, it must not be detailed in method or manner. This presentation of murder. Oh, wow. Wow, we've gone to a sudden turn here. We're on murder now. So, murder is often necessary for carrying out the plot. However, frequent presentation of murder tends to lessen the regard for the sacredness of life. Brutal killings should not be present in detail. Killings for revenge is not justified. The hero should not take justice in their own hands. Now, murder. Now, as far as I'm aware, the only character to die, like, as part of the story, like, there were, like, skeletons around the dragon's castle and stuff like that, but I feel like the only character to officially die in the course of the film is Farquaad. Right? Mama Bear too. Mama Bear... Do we see her alive? We do see Mama Bear alive. We see her at the swamp when they all crash the swamp. Oh no, or is the baby bear already crying? I seem to remember the baby bear is crying. And it's the daddy bear and the baby bear. Do we actually see the Mama Bear alive? Mama Bear definitely dies. She's definitely dead. But it is, yeah, Harry says. Like, yeah. At the beginning, there is no... We don't see the mum alive. Or is it during the... Is it during the scene at the beginning when Donkey is, like, being taken up to the guards? Do we see, like, the bears being separated in cages? And then, like, we presume the dad and the baby escaped? I don't remember. Okay, the big question is, do we see Mama Bear at the start of the film? And if we do, that means a murder happened. But it's kept very much in the background, and it's not presented. It's not presented in detail. So, oh, you've looked it up. We do. You do. So we definitely see the Mama Bear at the start of the film. She's in a cage. Right, there we go. So a murder happens. There are two deaths in this movie. Right? It's Mama Bear and Farquaad. Right. So it's not frequent. It's not presented in detail. Well, what? Well, we do see Farquaad get entirely eaten. And, like, even a bit where, like, she opens her mouth and he goes, ah! You know, and then, like, it's swallowed up. So it is shown quite explicitly, but there isn't, like, chewing. There isn't, like, screaming. And even in the karaoke scene at the end, isn't he singing from inside her? So he's technically alive still? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, one jumps on the same track as me. So if the karaoke scene is canon, he's alive inside her. So we don't see teeth penetration. Vor. It is Vor. It's Vor in which case. So Farquaad isn't killed, he's vored by the dragon. Is that worse? So, really, that just means Mama Bear. That just means Mama Bear. It's the only murder in this movie. So, we don't have any more killings. Dueling should not be presented as right or just. The keg crushes a knight, but does it kill him? I don't think it kills him. Crimes against the law. Criminals should not be made as heroes, even if they are historic criminals. So Shrek is kind of treated like a criminal, but he's not really. I don't think we'd classify him as a criminal. Oh no, he is a criminal. There's wanted signs for him. He is a criminal. So yeah, okay. He's presented as a hero. He's a criminal presented as a hero. The law and justice must not be seen as by the treatment they receive from criminals made to be seen wrong or ridiculous. It absolutely is. They are persecuting the innocent fairy tale creatures, so they are wrong. They are wrong and ridiculous. And also Farquaad is laughed at and mocked, and because of his small stature and stuff. So he is treated as ridiculous. So, methods of committing crime, burglary, such as burglary, should not be explicit as to teach the audience how crime can be committed. The film should not serve as a possible school in which crime methods, for those who are seeing the methods, might use them. So, does Shrek teach people crime? I don't think it does. I don't think it does any particularly imitatable crime. I mean, it's terrorizing, but, like, it'd be hard for a kid to copy that. Thank you, LA. thank you, Louis, for the host. Do they break into the castle? Because Shrek taught me a lot about how to infiltrate a castle. They do. They do break into a castle. Breaking and entering. It does do a few imitatable crimes, in which case, if we consider breaking and entering as one. And Shrek teaches you how to fall. So, crime need not always be punished, as long as the audience is made clear that it is wrong. If we consider breaking and entering as a crime, it is not presented as wrong because I guess it's more of an ends to justify the means. They're going in to rescue someone, so it's kind of fair. In which case, vulgarity. Oh boy, vulgarity may be carefully distinguished from obscenity. Vulgarity is the treatment of low, disgusting, unpleasant subjects which decent society considers outlawed from normal conversation. Vulgarity in motion pictures is limited in precisely the same way in decent groups of men and women by the dictates of good taste and civilized usage, and by effect of shock, scandal, and harm on those coming in on contact with this vulgarity. Oaths should never be a comedy element. Oaths? What's wrong with oaths? Where required by the plot, less offensive oaths may be permitted. What does an oath mean in this context? Is that swearing? Is the stream lagging? It's not showing as lagging for me, so hopefully we're okay. They use the they have a wedding oath and they have the signage and stuff. It does kind of undermine the sanctity of marriage, doesn't it? So turning it into like a show. Yeah, maybe. Vulgar expressions come under the same treatment of vulgarity in general, where women and children are able to see the film. Vulgar expressions and oaths should be cut to the absolute essentials by the situation. God forbid women might pick up vulgarity. There are so many farts. There are farting. Now, it doesn't explain what vulgar expressions mean, though. But, like, I guess that would be burping and farting, picking the nose, earwax. The name of Jesus Christ should never be used except in reference. No, I don't think Jesus is ever expressed. I think... Wait. Shrek doesn't Shrek say like "Jeez Louise" or something like that, or "For the love of Pete" or something like that? So it is alluding to a god. It is alluding to the name of a god, or to a presence of a god. There's the song "Hallelujah." In the sad scene, that implies the presence of God. God is not present in the Shrek universe. A loving God will not allow snake balloons. It's true. It's very, very true. It would be a very twisted God, wouldn't it? But like a heaven would imply a hell exists in the Shrek universe, and I don't want to go to Shrek hell. Are you forgetting about the Shrek the Halls Christmas movie? I am forgetting about it. I don't think I've seen it, or at least if I ever did, I would have seen it years and years ago once. We're still focusing on just the first film, really. The karaoke sing-along, I'm making a small exception for. Obscenity is concerned where immorality, with immorality, but it has the additional connotation of being vulgar and coarse. Obscenity is that, in fact, of spoken word, gesture, episode or plot, that is against divine or human law, and hence outside the altogether subject range or treatment. Obscenity should not be suggested by gesture or manner. Any obscene, an obscene reference, even if it's expected to be understandable, is only the more sophisticated part of the audience, should not be introduced. Sophisticated obscenities. Ooh. Obscene language is treated as all obscenity. So does Shrek swear? Is there any swearing in Shrek? Is there an ass? They do say ass because Donkey's an ass. Do they say? Is there any other swears? Do they say damn? Do they say hell? Do they say? The Shrek says fuck. The puppet song does allude to obscenity. It is suggested. You're right. The puppet song does suggest it. They say fuckwad a lot. It's farquad, but it is. I feel like you're right. I think it is meant to allude to like fucker or something. I think Farquaad says fuck or shit, but a bit muffled when he's bored. No, you're stretching it there. Damn is said 7 times. That's very specific. I don't give a damn about my reputation. You're right, Aaron Keyser. You're right. There is a song that says damn as part of its lyrics. So there we go. We've got obscenity. Shrek is obscene. Nudity. Okay, well, we're back into the saucy stuff. This is part of costume. The effect of nudity or semi-nudity on the normal man or woman, and much more upon the young person, has been honestly recognized by all lawmakers and moralists. I don't know who moralists are, but they sound thrilling. Shrek is in a bath, and we do see Shrek ass. We get like a frame of big green ass. So that's full on nudity. Hence the fact that the nude or semi-nude body may be beautiful does not make its use in the film's moral. For the addition of beauty, the effects of the nude or semi-nude in the normal individual must be taken into consideration. Nudity or semi-nudity, simply used to punch into a picture, comes under the head of immoral actions. Nudity or semi-nudity nudity is never permitted. Semi-nudity may be permitted. So it is semi-nude, right? It's an arse. It's a full-on arse. Semi-nude or nude? Where do we draw the line? Do we draw the line on an arse? It's got butt crack, but we don't see the front, do we? We don't see, like, the shadow of a genital. That's my album title there. The Shadow of a Genital. We draw the line on the front. Man, if only. Yeah, so where do we draw the line on Shrek's bare ass? Is this nude or semi-nude? I feel like it's semi-nude because I feel like you can get away more with a male ass, and it is unfair. It's a male ass. Women's asses are more sexualized than men's asses. So Farquaad gets hard. He does, but that's an illusion, right? It's alluding to that. It's not. We're not seeing the expressed erection, so it doesn't count. We see the asses of the wooden kids. I guess. The DreamWorks animators have confirmed that the 3D model has a nude version with genitals. How fun! Let's hope that never gets released to the world. Not that I think the world needs help. I feel like there has been 3D models with fully functional genitals made. God, I just don't know where to draw the line. Oh, here we go. We got more here. The more intimate parts of a body. How many pages we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more pages to get through. All right, so we might have to pick things up a little bit. So the more intimate parts of a human body are the female organs and the breasts. Okay, so the intimate parts are the male and female organs and the breasts of a woman. They should never be uncovered. They should not be covered with transparent or translucent material. They should be clearly and unmistakably outlined. They should not be clearly and unmistakably outlined by the garment. Okay, so it doesn't come under an intimate part then. The bum doesn't come under as an intimate part. So that could be under semi-nudity. Maybe. Fiona has a cleavage. I mean, I guess, but like, it's still like that kind of like safe 3D model. It's not like big mummy milker badonka honkers, you know? It's sort of like, you know, a standard B cup, I guess. So, it's not, I wouldn't class it as a full on cleavage. I guess clearly and unmistakable outlined. I guess. I feel that's a kind of a stretch, though. Less intimate parts of the body, the legs, arms, shoulders, and back are less certain of causing reactions of the part of the audience. Hence, exposure necessary for plot is permitted for the sake of exposure, or the punch is wrong. Scenes of undressing should be avoided. Shrek undresses. He full-on undresses. The manner of exposure should not be suggested or indecent. Most concerning. Oh, so dancing. This is a weird section about dancing. We got coming up. So dancing costumes, cut to permit grace or freedom, are permissible. so okay, it's more about dancing, but like this bit's here about dancing. So dance is the dance of the type known as cooch or the can, since they violate decency in these two ways, are wrong. Dances with movements of the breasts, excessive body movement while the feet remain stationary. These so-called belly dances. These dances are immoral, obscene, and hence altogether wrong. So the can is banned. Yep, and the cooch is indecent. Who would have thought? So locations. Okay. Brothels and houses of ill fame? There's no Shrek brothels, are there? I don't remember there being a Shrek brothel. I mean, they do a lot to like allude to adult jokes and stuff like that, but I don't remember there being like a Shrek red light district. Unwholesome or morbid curiosities in the minds of the youth. They are dangerous and bad dramatic locations. Bedrooms. Huh! God forbid there be a bedroom. In of themselves are perfectly innocent. Their suggestion may be kept innocent. However, under certain conditions, the bad dramatic locations they use in a comedy or farce. The principle of the so-called bedroom farce is wrong, and because they suggest sex laxity and obscenity. Sex laxity. Gotta get that scene too. In serious drama, they should use sex where suggested and confined to absolutely essentials in ordinance with the principles laid above. So I guess there's the erection. I feel like we can finally talk about Farquaad's erection. I know everyone's been dying for me to talk about Shrek's fat cock. And yes, I feel like that would definitely come under as a suggestive obscenity. So we've got one. We've got there that. Religion. No episode should throw ridicule on religious faith. It doesn't really touch upon religion at all. Not really. Ministers of religion should not be used in comedies as villains. I mean, there is like a pope bishop character who's ordained in the wedding, but he's not really. He's presented as slow, but he's not really. I guess that's comedy, isn't it? Wait. Lord is an appellation for a person or deity who has authority, control, and power over others, acting as a master, chief, or ruler. Farquaad is killed. Well, we established Farquaad is technically alive. He's just been vored, so he'll be back out later, I guess. Although he's a ghost in like the 4D ride, so let's just say he's alive. Let's say it's not technically. Well, it is a murder. Oh, fuck it, it is a murder. It's an attempted murder, I would say. I don't think the dragon vored Farquaad to just kind of keep him tucked away to stop the wedding. I think that was an intentional to be for food. So okay, ceremonies that definite religion should be supervised by someone consulted. Yeah, okay, all right, fine. So there is a wedding, but I don't think it encroaches particularly on the religion aspect. That's a blank page, so we can move on. So after the code was first made, I think this is 1938. They added some extra rules, some extra specificities into the code. So we'll quickly skim through these ones too. So this is just a reiteration of its general standards, which is that the audience cannot come out worse than they did when they went in. Should only present the correct standards of life, and no law shall be violated or given sympathy. So, crimes against the law. The treatment should not teach crimes, inspire criminals, or make criminals seem heroic and justified. So we've already established that Shrek is a criminal, and he's the hero. So it definitely violates that. Coming out worse than coming in only applies to Shrek 3. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Shrek 3 is shit. The technique of murder must be presented in a way that will not inspire imitation. So kids can't go around eating one another. So that ought to be fine. Brutal killings not presented in detail. Revenge we've already covered. Theft, robbery, safe cracking, dynamiting of trains, mines, buildings, should not be detailed in method. Well, I don't think there's any safe cracking or trains being dynamited, so we're safe on that front. But it's weird, it's dynamited of trains specifically, not just like dynamited. Dog, you can dynamite. You can fucking dynamite. I don't know, that orphanage. That's all right. You can dynamite that cat, but dynamite a train? No. You're in trouble now, Mister. Arson must be subject to some safeguards. So there is arson. Technically, Shrek, I mean, not Shrek, but the dragon sets fire to the castle. So it is arson, technically. Well, it's not. Is it arson? That one's questionable, really. It's a dragon, so it's not really arson. Use of firearms. Give Shrek a gun. There is no guns in Shrek. The methods of smuggling should not be presented. Drug trafficking, liquor. I don't think there is alcohol. Is there alcohol in Shrek? I guess Farquaad's probably he's drinking something, isn't he, when he's looking at the mirror? We do have the first half of arson. We do have the first half of that. Shrek gets shot. Does he get shot? With the crossbows and stuff? There are crossbows, but they're presented, but they're not shot, so I think that's okay. Oh, he is shot in the arse with an arrow. You're right. When was that? Why was he shot in the arse with an arrow? I can't remember. Oh, they're in the woods, aren't they? And he has an arrow in his butt. Was that from just the castle scene? Did he fall on an arrow or something? I can't remember. Sex! Here we go. Adultery, sometimes necessary for plot material, should not be justified. So there is a love triangle, but nobody's married, so it's not technically part of this. Robin Hood. Is it Robin Hood who shoots him in the ass? Oh, okay. Seeds of passion should be treated with honest acknowledgement of human nature and normal reactions. Many scenes cannot be presented with arousing or dangerous emotions on the part of the immature, the young, or the criminal. God forbid we teach those criminals how to fuck. They should not be introduced when essential to the plot. Excessive, lustful kissing, lustful embraces, suggestive postures and gestures are not to be shown. Yep, Shrek definitely fails on that front. In general, passion should be treated as those scenes do not stimulate the lower or baser element. It is played up comedically. It's not played up to be sexy. So I guess that stands true. It just occurred to me that Mickey Mouse's first cartoon was rampant with animal abuse for the sake of comedy. It's true. So they should never be more than suggested or essential to the plot. Never the proper subject for comedy. Sex perversion or any inference to it is forbidden. Well, Farquaad, he Farquaad up because he's definitely perving on somebody with that, as we've established, full fat erection. White slavery shall not be treated. Well, good. No other kind of slavery. The other slavery's fine. That stuff is fine. That's fine and dandy. All right with me. But white slavery, no. I am joking, to be clear. Yeah, that's an element of its time. Miscegenation, sex relationship between. Ooh, let me get my barge pole and poke that one out the way. Oh boy. That's forbidden, apparently. God forbid. Oh dear. But the green and white, good question, Blem. That's a good question. Ooh, God fucking damn. God fucking damn. Ooh, all right. Donkey and Dragon. Oh man. You're right. Oh man. Oh, okay. All right. Sex hygiene and venereal diseases. Oh, good. A more palatable subject. are not subject for motion pictures. Okay. Scenes of actual childbirth, in fact, or silhouette, are never to be presented. Well, we see the donkey babies, but we don't see the donkey babies being born, the donkey dragon babies. And children's sex organs are never to be exposed. Okay, fine. Vulgarity, the treatment of low, disgusting, unpleasant, and not necessarily evil subjects are subject are always to the dictate of good taste and general regard. That's vague as fuck. Obscenity in word, gesture, reference, song, joke, or suggestion is forbidden. So I don't give a damn about my reputation. That's right out. So profanity, pointed profanity. This includes the words God, Lord, Jesus Christ, unless used reverently. Hell, son of a bitch, damn, God. Why God? Why G-A-W-D, God? Is that just because it's a not nice way of saying God? I mean, isn't that just God with an accent? Gorsh. Goofy. Goofy's out. Gord. Gord, look at the son of a bitch. Okay, so, or every other profane or vulgar expression, however used, is forbidden. Complete nudity is never permitted. This includes nudity in fact or in silhouette, or any lecherous or in licentious notice thereof other characters in the picture. Okay, so I don't think we're meant to at any point feel horny for anyone. The most is like Farquaad horning over Fiona's picture, so that's kind of it. I don't think we're meant to find Shrek attractive. I don't think we're meant to find the dragon attractive, so I think we're okay. Undressing scenes should be avoided. I don't think there's any undressing scenes anyway. Indecent or undue exposure is forbidden. That's Shrek right the fuck out. More dancing costumes intended to permit under undue exposure or indecent movements of the dance are forbidden. Dances suggesting or representing sexual actions. Dances that emphasize indecent... Well, there's dancing in the karaoke scene, and there's dancing... They do dance, but I can't remember if there's any sexy dancing. Is there any sexy dancing in Shrek? Do they do any, like, famous dances that are sexual in nature? I don't remember. Donkey slaps Fiona's ass. Does she? Does he do that? Does he slap her bum? Does he give her a little slappy slappy on the bum bum? No film or episode may throw ridicule on any religious faith. No minister's religion should not be used as comic characters. Again, there is the bishop who's like very, very slow. Ceremonies of any definite religion should be carefully and respectfully handled. Certain places closely associated with sexual life or with the sexual sin should not be used. Carefully limited. Brothels of houses of ill fame are not proper locations for drama. There's no brothels in Shrek. The dragon isn't supposed to be attractive. I'm sorry to break this to you. It's, I mean, you know, whatever. Different courses for different horses or donkeys, I guess. National feelings. The just rights, history, and feeling of any nation are entitled to consideration and respectful treatment. The use of the flag shall be consistently respectful. The history, institutions, prominent people, and citizenry of other nations should be respected fairly. This is why it took so long for them to make any movies about Nazis or concentration camps and stuff, because it was seen as disrespectful to Germany. So this held up films like You Nazi Spy, which is done by the Three Stooges. It held up The Great Dictator and stuff. So yeah. Titles. Salacious, indecent, obscene titles should not be used. Okay, so that's just naming your movie. I don't think there's anything wrong with the word Shrek. We have a few more amendments, and then we are done and outy. So let's have a look at these. So, scenes of excessive brutality, gruesomeness, cut to an absolute minimum. There is no brutality. The scene where Shrek throws the US flag into the mud and spits on it was a tad too far. I don't know. I feel that was handled quite respectfully. Is Shrek picking up Fiona forcefully considered manhandling? Maybe so. They tear off the gingerbread man's legs. They do. You're right, that is brutality. Must be cut to an absolute minimum, where such scenes are the judgment of the production likely not to be approved. Oh, well, the gingerbread man's legs, I guess he crushes one of them, doesn't he? And the gingerbread man's on crutches. Well then, brutality. Drinking. There's he drinks during the mirror scene. It's not that much. Oh, why am I highlighting stuff? I don't want to do this. Go away. Oh no. Go away. Okay. No. Stop. Okay. Gangster stories. Crime stories are not acceptable when they portray the activities of American gangsters armed and in violent conflict with law or law enforcers. They're not acceptable. Crime stories are not acceptable when they portray activities of American gangsters armed and in violent conflict with law enforcers. Okay. Details of crime must never be shown. Actions suggestive of wholesale slaughter of human beings, either criminals or in conflict with police or between... either by criminals or in conflict with police of warring factions in a public dishonor would not be allowed. So basically, the police cannot be... or the police or law-abiding people cannot be slaughtered, but criminals, fair game. That's what it's saying. There must be no suggestion at any time of excessive brutality. There is the man is eaten alive by a dragon. It's definitely quite there. The gun drop buttons is akin to torture. It is. You're right. Because of the alarming increase in the number of films in which murder is frequently committed, the action showing taken of human life, even in mystery stories, to be cut to a minimum. These frequent presentations of murder tend to lessen the regard of the sacredness of life. So suicide as a solution to problems is to be discouraged as morally questionable and bad theatre. So, don't do it, kids. It's bad theatre. There must be no display of any time of machine guns, submachine guns, or other weapons classified as illegal weapons in the hands of gangsters or other criminals. So basically, the Tommy gun, the classic Tommy gun that gangsters used to, are known to have. From the 1930s onwards, they were not allowed. So if you gangsters, you've got to obey these rules and don't use the big guns. So that's why they all went to like the handguns. And there must be no offstage sounds of the repercussions of these guns. This means that even where the machine guns or prohibited weapons are not shown, the effects of the shots coming in from those guns must be cut to a minimum. Right. There must be no new, unique, or trick methods for concealing guns shown at any time. That feels like that's like trying to cover up a loophole. The flaunting of weapons by gangsters or other criminals will not be allowed. All discussions and dialogue on the part of gangsters regarding guns should be cut to a minimum. There must be no scenes at any time showing law enforcers dying at the hands of criminals. This includes private detectives, guards for banks, motor trucks, etc. So again, can't kill a cop, but you can kill a criminal. That's completely fine, and there is no problem with that. The special reference to crime of kidnapping or legal abduction has been a policy to mark such stories as unacceptable under the code. Only when the kidnapping or abduction is not the main theme of the story, the person being kidnapped is not a child, there are no details of the crime of the kidnapping. So basically, you're going to kidnap someone, you don't show the details of the hows and the wheres they were kept. Just, they are kidnapped. No profit accrues from the abductors or the kidnappers. So they abduct people, but they don't get anything out of it. And where kidnappers are punished. So ultimately, they have to be punished for it. Oh, you're right. It does say kidnappers. I think that's our last page. So, yeah. There we go. So, I think we have very much fully established that Shrek is a criminal. And therefore, under these rules, the film cannot be shown. So, I'm sorry to say that if you have seen Shrek, then you need to unsee it, because it is now officially banned. As part of the 1930s standard for making movies, Shrek would be absolutely banned. It glorifies a criminal. He does criminal actions. It glorifies the obscene. It has nudity. It has brutality. And it has a big honking erection. So, you know, bad Shrek. I hope the message gets round to DreamWorks that their movie is cancelled now. Shrek is cancelled. And I still have my 2004 Shrek 1 and 2 right by my desk, and I'm not letting go. Kershaw, it's a crime. It's a crime to have Shrek now. Like we've gone through every rule of the 1930s motion picture production code, and we've established that it is condemned. So it's a sin. It's a sin. And just Shrek's just making the world a worse place. So there we go. As proven by me. Brilliant person, Eddie Bowling. Okay, that was fun. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I mean, it was very wordy, but like this was fun to do. Just like unfairly comparing modern films to historic standards, you know? Yes, the police will be around to collect every copy of Shrek on DVD shortly. So but anyway, yeah, this was fun. I had a blast doing this one. I wasn't sure. I was thinking like, oh, this is me just reading out rules. Is this even going to be, are people going to be down for this? And people were definitely into it, so that's great. Right then, I'm going to wrap up now because I need to crack on with my video. So Shrek has nothing to do with my video. I feel like now I'm just going to have to do some cutaway of being like, just in case, let's just cover some of the stuff that Shrek would be offended for. Because like, if I was making a video, which is like how Shrek breaks the rules or whatever, then like, you know, I could now marry this material to it. But no, this serves no use. Yeah, so there we go. Anyway, thank you. I'm glad you found my stream to be very pog. Anyway. So, is there somebody we can do a raidy raid? Not especially. No, it's fine then. Okay then. All right then. So I'm going to jump off now. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. This was fun. I've enjoyed this. Last week, I definitely felt my you know, I felt tired, like tiredness kind of kick in. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna cut the stream a bit early. But this time around, like we cracked on for about an hour and a half, and I'm glad because I think this was fun. So I'm gonna get back to work on my video now, and I'll see you guys next time. Alrighty, take care, everyone. Bye bye.